Hi, my name is Bente, I'm the Norse witch, and today I want to rant a little bit. You know that, well, as content creators, we sometimes get nasty comments, and I usually like to take nasty comments as a reason to film a video about that topic. Because those comments usually tell me that someone needs to talk about it. And today's winner were like mixing practices and spiritual elitism. Is that how it's pronounced? I don't know. Elitism, I have no clue. But I got this nice comment, that basically told me that I'm not allowed to call myself the Norse witch because I'm not solely practicing Norse kinds of practices. So these comments, of course, were like on astrology related videos. Of course, I kind of found it hilarious because the people who commented didn't even have their own terms and facts correct. But like, that's not part of the point I want to make in this video. But this comment just made me think about mixing practices and if it's okay to mix practices and like, what do you call yourself if you mix practices and things like that. But like, before we really dive into it, don't bother looking for the comment, because I already hid that user from my comments. So you won't find the comments either way. It's possible that this person sees this video, but like, if you see this video, first of all, what the heck are you still doing on my channel? And second, don't bother commenting again, because nobody will see your comments anymore. Haha! But now, let's start ranting. Okay, I guess since the hook for this video was a comment on my practice, let us start with my practice as an example. So when I started out, the only thing that was really accessible and that was really out there was Wicca. So that is what I started out with. So typical, very modern witchcraft practices, Wicca stuff, you know, Scott Cunningham, stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about. And I pretty quickly also got into astrology because I felt like it worked for me and it just was fun for me. And only after I got into those more modern kinds of practices, I got into the Norse stuff. So the Wicca, modern witchcraft stuff and astrology and things like that were there first, before I got into Norse kinds of stuff, because before I got interested in the Viking Age, before I got interested in Norse paganism and the Norse gods, and far earlier than I got into thralldom or Scandinavian folk magic. What do you do in a situation like that? Of course, what you could do is decide, okay, I am now only interested in pre-Christian Scandinavian practices, for example, and you stop practicing anything else. But I didn't really want to do that because, like, first of all, why? I mean, for example, astrological spell timing works amazingly for me. It works great. So why should I just stop doing it only because I get interested in something else? Or equally as effective for me are candle spells. Not really a thing in pre-Christian Scandinavia. As far as I know, not really a thing in thralldom. So should I just stop doing it altogether? I don't really think so. I mean, if you want to do that, that's totally fine, but I feel like there is nothing wrong with keeping practices from other traditions and mixing and matching. Like, if we look at it from a historical perspective, people have been mixing and matching different traditions and religions and practices all the time. Either because they had to, because oppressors basically forced their religions and practices on them, sometimes because they wanted to, and sometimes because, yeah, also because they wanted to, but because they stole close practices and just started doing them. So it has been done all the time. If you don't get into a closed practice and just implement that for yourself, I feel like that is totally fine and there's nothing wrong with that. But there are people who feel like you shouldn't do that. And I had those people in my comments, and they were basically saying like, if I have the name The Norse Witch on my channel, I can only do Norse stuff and that's about it. And like, I'm sorry, but I'm not a one-dimensional being. I have more interests than just that. And I don't feel like there's anything wrong with it, as long as I make it clear what kinds of practices are the Norse side and which are not, which I feel like I'm doing. Like I really try to make clear in videos about Norse stuff that this is Norse stuff by, for example, using the right terminology, by citing sources, etc. And never have I, for example, filmed a video on astrology claiming that this is Norse anything. But okay, this video is not supposed to be like solely on my channel and about the comments, but like it like really made me angry because I hate this. You are not practicing the way that I'm practicing, so you're doing it wrong. And I hate that so much. Or like people actually telling you you cannot call yourself this because you're not doing it the way that I wanted to or that I am doing it. Well, maybe people are different. Maybe some people want to stay a little bit more open to other practices. Maybe some people don't have a stick up their ass. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit heated, but it's 1:30 in the morning. I am high on... I was about to say I'm high on Coke, but I mean this Coke. I don't take drugs, people. I am high on Coca-Cola, and this is just making me insanely angry because it's just making so many people feel invalid in their practices, and it fucks me up. Because let people practice what the heck they want to practice, as long as they don't get into closed practices they don't belong in. Like that, we don't even have to talk about that, like that's a whole different topic, but like as long as you only mix practices that are open, it's totally friggin' fine. It is fine, guys. And I hope nobody lets people like that tell them that they're invalid or that their practice is invalid, because it's just total bullshit. Please do not let people like that make you feel insecure. This is literally just spiritual elitism, however it's called, at its best. This whole I'm practicing this way so you have to, or like you are not valid if you don't do it this way. I mean, why even bother telling people that? It's usually only because those people want to feel better about themselves, because they are probably insecure themselves, so they want to project that onto you. And that's just total bullshit. I mean, I would much rather honestly stay open to other kinds of practices and then mix and match. And yes, that makes me eclectic. That's totally fine, and I have never claimed to not be eclectic. I mean, that's also why I usually do not call myself only a thralldom practitioner, for example, because that is not only what I do. Whenever I tell people what kinds of practices I do, I always say I'm merging modern witchcraft practices with pre-Christian Scandinavian practices and thralldom, or like my modern witchcraft practices informed by those traditions, because like I am not only in one bucket, you know, I want to get into different kinds of things. And if you want to do that, that is totally fine. But yeah, that is basically everything that I wanted to talk about. I know this is not like an exciting video, but I feel like it's so important to talk about this because so many people are out there basically trying to make other people feel less than, just so that they themselves can feel better about themselves or feel like their practice is better than the other person's practice. And you should just not let other people make you feel that way. Your practice is totally valid even if you mix and match. And even if you are like 99% German folk magician, for example, but you still incorporate this one thing from another practice, still does not make you less of a folk magic practitioner. I mean, yes, I'm also doing other practices. I also like to work with astrological spell timing, but that does not make me less of a Norse practitioner, and that does not make me less of a thralldom practitioner. That only means that I don't only do that, but that doesn't mean that I'm less of a serious practitioner of those traditions. Okay, now that I have that off my chest, I can go to sleep. I hope you at least had a little bit of fun watching me rant and maybe you got something out of it. If not, at least I got something out of it, and that is satisfaction. But with that being said, patron shout out. Thank you so much for supporting me in my rants to SJ and Kate Cade, Thistle Adam Z Kent Brittany, Emery Celine Smolkata, Josh Elinora, David Christine Rixie Business, Annalena, Ashley, Erica, Kristen, John, Phoenix, Jenny, Maggie, Misty, Amy, Bethany, Timothy, Coffee, and last but not least, Bjorn. Thank you so much. As always, if you liked this video for whatever reason, make sure to subscribe and give a thumbs up and ring the bell down below so you're notified whenever I upload a new video. If you care about that, then you can also check out my other socials or my online shop for sustainably and ethically sourced witchcraft and paganism tools, or you can check out my Patreon if you want to also be shouted out in the end of every single video. And I will see you in the next more serious video. Bye!